In sports, the scoreboard doesn't tell the full story, but Netflix does. Stories about dads who happen to be world-class quarterbacks and a battle for the heart, soul, and direction of the multi-billion-dollar business of F1. Whether you're a diehard fan or you're brand new, Netflix has the stories for every type of fan. You can watch these incredible sports stories like Quarterback, F1 Drive to Survive, Untold, and many more now on Netflix.
Apple Card is the credit card created by Apple. You earn 3% daily cash back up front when you use it to buy a new iPhone 15, AirPods, or any products at Apple. And you can automatically grow your daily cash at 4.15% annual percentage yield when you open a high-yield savings account. Apply for Apple Card in the Wallet app on iPhone. Apple Card subject to credit approval. Savings is available to Apple Card owners subject to eligibility. Savings accounts by Goldman Sachs Bank USA, member FDIC. Terms apply.
This episode is brought to you by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Some things are just better together, like party playlists and Friday nights, campfires and ghost stories, peanut butter and chocolate. And Reese's Cups are the perfect combination of creamy peanut butter and delicious milk chocolate. So, when you want something sweet, you can't do better than Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Buy Reese's today wherever candy is sold.
Serie A Chronicles is a Mina Chronicles production.
Buon anno, tutti. Welcome back. I feel like this is a podcast episode that needs to start with a previously on Serie A Chronicles, because we are back. Mina and I are back for Serie A. Mina, what was this nonsense we've been putting up with for the last 2 months? Some other kind of football that isn't the real thing, isn't the genuine article that we've been pining for, Italian football. And we're back in the room with quite a game this midweek, which we'll get to in just a second. But first of all, Mina, Happy New Year. How was your New Year's Eve?
Hi, Nicky. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit depressed to be back. I kind of still want to be in my bubble of sleeping in and, eating lots of food and not knowing what day it is, But normal life has resumed and now it's the countdown to summer. This is how I plan my life. The countdown to summer.
I feel that. I don't know how it is where you are, but like today's actually been a really sunny day down here, which probably is bad news for the world and stuff. But it was really nice going for a walk now. And I did feel like, we've turned that corner. It's not cold and dark anymore. It's going to get sunnier. It's going to get nicer. I'm with you on that. There's Simon, our producer Simon in Australia, laughing to himself at our European misery.
Our European misery. Exactly that, And not only that, even though it is sunny even over here in London, for us, the countdown means that we might just have a little bit more sunlight after 4 p.m. This is what it is in England, It's otherwise the sun has been setting at quarter to 4, 3:45 and stuff. So now we just have a little bit extra minutes and we sort of enjoy that.
Absolutely. A little note just dropped into our running order document from producer Simon. 33 degrees where he is. It's all right for some.
Go away. Although actually, I'm not sure I would want it to be that hot over here.
Listen, Mina, you ask what the real football is, and I say the real football is the kind of football that has Italian talent in it, the likes of Nicola Barella, the likes of Nicola Zagnola, the sort of players who were conspicuously absent from our screens over the last 2 months. And look, I'm going to get to the point because I think if we're going to do where we're up to, there's no question what the biggest game is to come back to. It's a huge game to kick off the season. I don't know if it would be cynical to say they did it deliberately, but they couldn't have deliberately scheduled a much bigger game to come back to than Inter against Napoli, the champions of 2 seasons ago, against the team that is running away with Serie A right now. To remind everyone very quickly, the top of Serie A looks like this. Napoli, first place, 41 points. They are now the only team across Europe's top 5 leagues that is still unbeaten after Paris Saint-Germain lost the other day. So Napoli, top of the league on 41 points. They have a massive 8-point lead over Milan in second. Juventus, another 2 points back, so 10 points off the lead in third. Extraordinary when you think where they were, how far back they were at the start of the season. Lazio and Inter currently joint fourth on 30 points. And Atalanta and Roma behind them. So look, Napoli are running away with it at the moment, but the group behind them is actually really, really close together. So from Milan in second all the way down to Roma in seventh, there's a total of 6 points between them. So a really, really close race behind Napoli. And if anything could liven up this start to the new year and make the title race come back into the sort of sharper focus, it would be Inter upsetting Napoli in this first game back. Mina, I know it's not a World Cup. I know it's not Messi against Mbappe, but it's pretty exciting.
You know what it is? You remind me of Lukaku coming back with a vengeance, trying to yeah, Serie A's back. I'm going to prove it again. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to show you guys how good this is, And you know who I am? I'm Paul Pogba after he won the World Cup, where everything's just miserable because I've already achieved everything I wanted to achieve. But I am one of those people that's like, oh God, I have to start doing this all over again. And you forget, right? This is how I felt when Serie A ended and the World Cup started. I was depressed. I was it was just so good. We were on such a high. It was just so amazing. Games were so fun to watch. And it was this stupid thing that's interrupted this wonderful season of football. And the stupid thing ended up being my favorite thing. And then anyway, then again, what happened?
Look. The World Cup was extraordinary. We've picked over it in all its different aspects. There were some problems with it that were very difficult, and the football itself was brilliant, was my feeling about it. But one thing that I will say is, as brilliant as that football was, up until that World Cup came along, I was enjoying watching this Napoli team about as much as I've enjoyed watching any team in Europe in a really long time. They are brilliant fun to watch.
Yeah.
Kvicha Kvaratskhelia, of course, one of the stories of the season, Kvaradonna and his emergence. Victor Osimhen, who's been raised his game again from last season, playing at a level that we haven't seen from him before. Andre Frank Zambo-Anguissa, who suddenly scores goals as well as being just brilliant in that midfield and dominating things. Even Mario Rui, who I've been pretty sort of low on compared to some people for a lot of years, is having an extraordinary season. This team has been
so fun,
really, really fun to watch. So I'm excited to see them come back. And I also think that of all the teams for them to go up against in the first game back, Inter will not make it easy. Inter have not been at Napoli's level for this season. We can say that. That's pretty clear. But they have still got through the Champions League group stage, knocked out Barcelona. They've had some games this season where they've made you go, okay, this team's got something about it. They finished last year with a 3-2 win away to Atalanta. Before that, they thumped Bologna 6-1. This Inter team are not as good as they were when they won the title under Antonio Conte, but they're not a team that anyone, not even this Napoli, can take for granted.
No, absolutely not. Actually, when I think of the highlights of sort of the beginning of the season, for me, it is obviously Napoli. You can't get away from the brilliance of their game, and also the brilliance of Spalletti. If there's anyone who really deserves to have his moment, it is Spalletti. Just the way that he's organized his team, the way that everyone thought this was going to be a season in which they were just lots of changes, so many veterans leaving. It's going to need to take time. What a brilliant job he's doing and continues to do. And now there's a potential, obviously, that he'll even add Unahi, who had a terrific time with Morocco at the World Cup, to the team. I mean, this team is stacked, and my God, how good they are at scouting talent. But actually, one of the highlights for me was Udinese's run as well. I loved watching them. For me, they were this really fun side after the 70th minute. It's you never knew what was going to happen with Udinese. Yeah. But my favorite moments were frankly Inter in the Champions League. That gave me so much emotions that it made me even though the Champions League was miserable as a Juventus fan, Inter made the Champions League really fun for me. It was just that those matches were exhilarating to watch, especially the second one with Barcelona when it was all tied, and then there was that great chance missed. And they were just so fantastic. So I really hope that when it comes to the Champions League, the Italian teams will do well, even though Juventus is out. There's still 3 remaining, and we're all behind them, hopefully. So there's been some really great moments, I've got to say, and I'm sort of excited to get back to that.
Make this Christmas memorable with Goat Guns. Get the coolest miniature gun models for your collection. From historical classics to modern weapons, we have something for every firearm and hobby enthusiast. Surprise your loved ones with the gift of Goat Guns, the perfect blend of quality and detail. Shop now and spread the joy at goatguns.com.
Inter are no easy team. For me, I thought they were odds-on favourite to win the Serie A title for sure at the start of the season. And we spoke about that. I didn't think Napoli would be anywhere near the top. I mean, I thought maybe fourth at most, just because of the changes. But the thing that worries me, obviously, with Inter is their goal scoring. And even though, like you pointed out in the last edition of the Qatar Chronicles, that Lautaro Martinez, is one of the reasons why they ended up winning the final. He didn't have a terrific World Cup. I still think that he's going to be on a high because they did lift the trophy and he's part of that and he contributed to that. So he needs to, to get his just desserts as well. Neither him nor Lukaku had a terrific World Cup in terms of goal scoring. And so that is perhaps something to worry about going forward. Napoli seem a little bit perhaps more well-rested in that sense. A lot of their players came back quite early. Osimhen never went, obviously. So you just hope that he's going to still be, doing everything that he needs to do alongside Cavaradonna, because he said that's his favorite nickname. So we're going to go with that now. Kvaratskhelia or Cavaradonna. So it's going to be a really interesting match. But I still believe that Napoli is going to go all the way and just win every single match or be at least undefeated, because they are just this team that I don't even think that this 1.5 months out is really going to disturb their momentum. What do you think?
I'm gonna peel back the curtain here. I think I'm allowed to say this. I hope I'm not going to get in trouble. So The Guardian do their top 100 footballers, men's and women's footballers every year. The women's football has already gone up. The men's football it's a bit late this year because of the World Cup. So they're doing it in January. So they're doing it in December. And one of my sort of jobs in the background is to make a long list of Serie A players, basically that gets shared with all the judges, because I guess it's sort of like a memory aid for judges, because we have a lot of judges from the panel from all over the world and not all of them watch as much Serie A. So you're giving them a little memory aid by doing a long list of players you might consider from Serie A if you need a little memory bump. And honestly, just doing that long list, and you make a little couple of notes for each player and just remembering everything about this Napoli team, it's been such an exciting reminder of how good they've been. I just think, I've already sort of raved about some of them, but there's just so much in this team that's so exciting. And you think about, I do think part of the excitement in Serie A this season has stemmed, as you said, Mina, from how good some of the Champions League performances have been, because also there was that Napoli win over Liverpool, which at the time, it's easy to look back now and say, well, Liverpool haven't been that great. But it was extraordinary when Liverpool came to Naples, and they didn't just beat them, they thrashed them. They really sort of put them to the sword.
And Ajax.
Yeah, Ajax completely wiped them away. And it is Victor Osimhen being this joyful, irresistible force who I don't even know how you're supposed to defend against him. The sort of the power and explosiveness combined to just physically being so long in the way he can use his limbs, but then also having that exceptional close control and keeping it so tight and somehow being able to maintain that with his balance. He's an extraordinary technical footballer. It's
like that sheer desire. He's got to get the goal. His life depends on getting the goal. It's so rare to see that, this mad obsession with it. Oh, I love it.
Absolutely. And then you combine that with Kvaratskhelia, who's just unpredictability in a bottle, right? You just don't know what he's going to do. Zielinski, who can play those passes so well, and Lebok can do the same. And then Anguissa, who can carry the ball forward. Everything about this team is so exciting. And then you think, okay, and then off the bench, when you want them, Raspadori, Simeone, both of whom have scored a surprising number of goals.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. It's funny that when you talked about Inter, then on the other side of it, you sort of talked about the goal scoring. And instinctively, I think, well, yeah, I understand exactly where you're coming from. Lautaro has these long dry spells. The only goal he scored at the World Cup was in a penalty shootout. He didn't score in the whole World Cup. Lukaku didn't play a lot at the World Cup, in truth. I think he played about an hour in total because he's just back from injury. But look, when did we last see Lukaku in the sort of swaggering Lukaku mold that we did before? It's been a long time. But then the truth of it is, Mina, that actually there's only one team in all of Serie A that scored more goals than Inter, and that's Napoli. That's it. No one else has scored more than Inter. Inter's problem is they've also conceded 22 goals in 15 games. So Inter's actual sort of measurable problem is at the other end. And honestly, like my sort of expectation for this game, and there's so much like who knows about this game, right? Because the teams have been away, because these players are just getting back together after a long time apart, because some players aren't going to play after the World Cup. I mean, Brozovic got back earlier than Lautaro, but I think he's been training apart, so he's not expected to play in midfield for Inter. I don't know if Lautaro's going to be ready to go up front for them. There are some important players missing. But if you were to tell me like the two teams before the break, what they were playing like, I would expect this game to be just fireworks end to end, because Inter can't defend and so they have to go forward. And Napoli are devastatingly brilliant going forward. So I think this could be a brilliant game, but there's always that risk that it's not because of the rust.
Wait, is that how you see it?
Yeah, definitely.
I don't think Inter is going to go gung-ho. I think they're going to close up and counter. Oh, that's going to be so interesting that you think that. Oh, I don't know which one's going to be right now. I just thought that they would try to do something similar to what they did to Barcelona and sort of give the keys to Napoli and see if they can. I mean, they're not great defensively, you're right about that, but maybe if they close their lines and it was something they worked on, you know.
They shouldn't be terrible defensively. Like, they've still got the same back three that was good defensively previously. They've still got, well, I think if Brozovic is out, that's a big loss to their defense. It's classic Brozovic that he got back to training early and he was supposed to. But yeah, it sounds like he's been training apart these last couple of days. So unless he feels ready to go, it's going to be hard for him to come back in. I think if you defend against this Napoli, you lose. So you kind of have to be brave and play. But we'll see. I don't know. I'm really excited for this game. I actually think if you're going to give me any Serie A game to come back from the World Cup, this might be the one. Not that I'm saying Inter are better than the other title challengers. I'm not saying that Inter are better than Milan. They're better than Juventus. I just think they're going to give Napoli a more interesting game. And I think the other thing that's fun about this game, which is just inevitable, right, is these two managers have had 2 months to obsess about this game. Like, they've had 2 months to sit there and go, oh, it's going to be that game to come back to. I've got to get it right. And actually quite a lot of the key players weren't at the World Cup. Osimhen wasn't at the World Cup. Kvaratskhelia wasn't at the World Cup. Barella wasn't at the World Cup. There's a lot of players who they've had time to work with to get ready for it. And I don't know. I'm excited. I hope it's as good a game as I'm billing it as, because I think it could be a really good one.
Can we get your prediction?
I'm going to say 3-2 to Napoli.
Wow, you think it's going to be that open?
I do. What do you think, Mina?
1-0 to Napoli. I don't know why I think it's going to be a close game. That's so interesting. I'm actually dying to watch it now just to see everything. I do think it'll be a 1-0. I don't know why I think it's going to be a cagey affair, just because it's the first one back. So I don't know which way it's going to go, but I really, really do hope that it's a 3-2 because it will be so much fun to watch.
That concludes the free portion of this week's show, guys. If you'd like to hear the full episode, please do sign up to support us at serieachronicles.com/Patreon. Really, really hugely appreciate your support, guys. That's what allows us to keep this show going. So we'd love it if you wanted to come with us and hear the rest of the show.
Social Podcast Network.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.